Horns up, metalheads. It's time once again for another edition of Talking Real Metal. It's the summer school edition. We're going to give these kids a couple of weeks off, man, before they have to actually go back to school.
Oh, are we?
Nah. I don't know. We probably should.
Nah.
I mean, you and I would have skipped by now.
Nah, we skip anyways. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. You could tell that's why we're doing this show. We skipped a lot of school.
Yeah, way too much.
All right, we talked about this guy earlier, and that is Iron Maiden's Adrian Smith. He says he's very excited about his rumored collaboration with Richie Kotzen.
Ooh, yeah. I'm kind of interested to hear what could come out of that myself.
I tell you, when we saw the Winery Dogs, I became a big fan of Richie Kotzen's playing.
Oh, yeah, and his voice. Oh, my God.
Yeah, unbelievable. You know, if there's ever a guy that could do a Chris Cornell tribute, it would be Richie Kotzen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and that's saying a lot because that's one of my favorite vocalists right there. You were telling me you've been listening to this album, Deep Purple's Whoosh, which entered the UK chart at number 4. How's it sounding so far?
I'm liking it, man. I'm liking it. Yeah,
Does it have that old school Deep Purple feel, or?
Yeah. You know, with Ian can't sing all that high anymore, so the vocals are kind of average. Yeah, but everything. The songs are good. The songs are good, and the musicianship and Steve Morse on guitar. Oh my goodness, man! When he cuts loose,
touch up his vocals.
No, when he cuts loose, man, the guy can shred. Wow,
better than Richie Blackmore.
Oh yeah, he'd tear Richie a whole new one easily. Yeah, all right. Easily.
You've heard it right here.
Oh yeah, Steve Morse.
Yeah, all right. Ice Earth's John Schaefer to reunite with Matt Barlow for collection of Christmas classics.
Oh, I can't wait for that, huh?
It's got to be better than the Twisted Sister one.
Yeah, okay.
All right.
Either one I don't want to listen
to. Metal Hall of Fame Gala now available on Amazon Prime.
Yeah, I guess they had the Heavy Metal Hall of Fame thing, and I guess it's on Amazon Prime. So,
do you have Amazon Prime?
I do. I might have to check that out and watch it. See what it's about.
Don Dokken on his diminished vocal capability. I have good days and I have bad days.
The problem is he sings at night.
That's a good point.
So you never catch him on a good
day.
Anyway, it's nighttime. I'm screwed.
I hate ripping on Don Dokken because
he's a
really
nice guy.
liked.
And he's a nice guy. We got to meet him a couple times, and man, he's just a nice guy. So yeah, I don't like to rip on him either. But
and I liked those first probably 4 or 5 Dokken albums.
Mm-hmm.
I really did. But like when these last couple of years when we went to see him, I'm just like, oh man, wow. Okay, Anvil's Steve Lips Kudlow. Music and concerts are going to be the last thing to come back if they come back at all. They're coming back.
Yeah, they'll be back. It'll be a while.
Lips, don't be such a downer.
Yeah.
Doug Aldrich says Glenn Hughes' addition to Dead Daisies has worked out amazing.
Well, I can't wait to hear what the new album when it comes out.
Yeah, exactly. The whole album. We've heard a couple cuts, but I'm waiting to hear the whole album. Scorpions aren't interested in playing drive-in concerts. It just doesn't have any atmosphere. Amen.
Yeah, I could go play for a car lot.
and the thing is it's not even like you're in the car lot.
Yeah.
You're on a big screen. You're not even seeing the people or hearing the people at the outdoor theater.
Yeah.
Well, here's another guy. Here's a guy that feels like we do, and we've had him on the show a couple times, and that's Steel Panther's Michael Starr. He says it was not cool of Sebastian Bach to call out Chris Jericho.
Nope. I thought you were going to say Peter Frampton. He feels like we do.
Yeah. I caught that. Nice. Quiet Riot's Frankie Banali is recovering after a stroke. Wow.
Oh, man.
Yeah, Frankie's had a rough go this past couple months.
It's not going to be long, man. Poor guy.
Yeah.
And such a nice guy, too. Jeez.
Here was kind of a shocker the other day. Legendary UFO bassist Pete Way passed away at the age of 69.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting that, man. But he lived way longer than anybody expected. Yeah. The life he led for a long time, man. He was just the epitome of the rock star lifestyle, dude.
Even more than Nikki Sixx?
Yeah, I don't know. But they were all hooked on the same kind of stuff, so.
Well, speaking of Jerry's favorite bass player, Motley Crue's Nicky Sixx says he is the most underrated bass player ever.
Somebody asked him that, and he said, me. Oh, who's the most underrated bass? I don't know. I think Gene Simmons gets overlooked a lot, and his bass lines are pretty impressive when you sit and think and play them. So.
Well, I tell you what, I really didn't think about it until you said, listen to that walk-in bass line in Detroit Rock City.
Yeah.
Listen to that bass line. Listen to those fills.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, wow. Yeah.
Yeah. It just puts if those weren't there, that song wouldn't have been half as popular. They just punch it up. They punch it up and take it somewhere else. Yeah, he rarely just played along with the guitar chords. Just sat there thumping on one note. He's always doing a walking line or something. So.
We talked about this a little earlier. Symphony X announces rescheduled dates for 25th anniversary North American tour with Primal Fear and Firewind.
Yeah, that'd be good, man. That'd be a good show.
And I did look it up. That Firefall song was Wildfire. All right. Yeah. And you're riding wild. Never mind.
Yeah.
Gwar announces Undead from Antarctica monthly variety show.
Oh, nice. On they must have a YouTube channel, I think. So I definitely got to check that out. Those guys are nuts.
And last but not least, Jeff Scott Soto still doesn't know why he was fired by Journey. It stinks. I feel like I didn't matter.
Man.
Well, here's what I think, Jeff, and this is just my opinion. They found a guy that sounded just like the guy that used to make them a whole lot of money.
Yeah.
And they went with it.
Yep. And he was going to work really cheap, too.
Cheap, yeah. So,
he's from the Philippines. He doesn't know what $1 is.
Don't sweat it, Jeff. You are twice the vocalist.
Yeah.
All right, so that winds up Talking Real Metal. Coming up next hour, we'll talk to Chip-Znuff from Enuff Z'Nuff and more great hard rock and metal coming up on Rock and Metal Revival. There's brand new music from Enuff Z'Nuff. It's from their upcoming album called Brainwash Generation. It's called Fatal Distraction, right here on Rock and Metal Revival. And we want to welcome into the show a man who's been on the show before. Want to welcome back Chip-Znuff to the show. Welcome to the show, Chip.
Thanks, Red. I appreciate that. It's always nice to share rock and roll heavy metal with another brother.
Chip, like I was telling you earlier, I've been a fan since the beginning, back in '89, and I'm so glad that you guys are still bringing out some great music almost 31 years later. I guess my question to you is does it get easier as time goes on, or is it still as enjoyable as it was 31 years ago?
It's easier and it's more enjoyable. How you like that?
Wow, that's awesome. You're now handling the lead vocal duties for Enuff Z'Nuff, playing the bass, and a lot of changes to Enuff Z'Nuff over the years. In your current lineup, you got a strong one. Are you guys going to be heading out on tour in support of this pretty soon?
Well, certainly. Well, you're right about that. Enuff Z'Nuff has had a very illustrious career. And a lot of ups and downs, my friend. The average life expectancy of any band, I've mentioned it a million times, is probably a few years. So for us to still be making records, this is our 21st record that we've released throughout our career right now. And a couple live records are in there, our greatest hits. But for the most part, 18 studio records. That's a lot to say in this day and age. I don't think you're going to see any bands in the future, and there's some good ones out there, Greta Van Fleet, Dirty Honey, Vintage Trouble. I love the guys in Rival Sons.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of newer groups out there that are really strong, but will they get a chance to put out, 5-10 records? I'm not so sure. It's a tough business to be in right here. It's really very tedious, and to come up with it. It's easy to come up with the songs because if you look at our landscape, what's happening in the world right now in the last few years, there's certainly a lot of subject matter to write about. But boy, we're at a time right now with too much product, not enough demand. Everybody wants to be in a band, and now we're all sequestered with handcuffs on in our houses. What better way to try to free yourself up but to make a record? And I think this Brainwash Generation album, we nailed it right here. Perfect time to put a new record out. Will there be a tour? Absolutely. And I'll tell you what it is right now. It's just reported. I just seen it in Classic Rock magazine, and I also seen it in Blabbermouth and Metal Sludge, that the Quarantine 2020 tour, Faster Pussycat, Enuff Z'Nuff, and a special guest, and that starts on September 6th. But we're going to kick off this tour, Red, on July 11th. The record comes out July 10th on Frontiers. July 11th, Enuff Z'Nuff goes on the live Monster Rock Cruise streaming show, and everybody's been doing it. And you go out there and you play a concert for an hour, hour and a half. Fans get on there to get a chance to see a show, and it's the wave right now until everything opens up. I think Metallica's getting ready to do one. Foo Fighters are doing one. These live streaming shows are just a little caption into what's going to happen in the future with all of our bands.
Well, I know I was thinking about this the other day, and how many I didn't realize how much live music that I went out and took in every month until I was told I couldn't anymore. And I know there's a lot of people that are just jonesing to get back out. And one thing I've always enjoyed about Enuff Z'Nuff is you guys are just a kick-ass live band.
I appreciate that. We've been playing a lot of shows. I was looking at some of the history of Enuff Z'Nuff. Over 3,000 shows right now, okay? Over 3,000 shows. I think that's right around the same amount of gigs as Rush. Or, some of the Cheap Trick. Maybe Cheap Trick has played more than we have, but there's quite a few bands as far as gigs go, because we've never been lazy. We've always taken the music to the streets. In the old days, Enuff Z'Nuff would be out in a little van traveling around the country opening for Mr. Big or Badlands or Cheap Trick or BTO. It didn't matter who was out there. We wanted to play and reach an audience. And then later on in life, we started playing bigger places and theaters and sheds and arenas and going out with Poison and Def Leppard and the big boys. And that's really, we've left an indelible mark in a lot of different places. So for us to still be going all this time, two original members, Alex Kane from Life, Sex, and Death, original guitar player, Enuff Z'Nuff, myself, along with Tori Stoffregan, who's been with me for a good 12, 13 years, and Dan Hill. That rounds out Enuff Z'Nuff. It's this rock-solid band. We bring it every single night, and there'll be no exception this September when we go out with Faster Pussycat.
Well, Chip, when I was listening through this album and looking at some of the credits on there, I see you had some special guests. You had some pretty heavy hitters. You had Mike Portnoy and you had Dax Nielsen from Cheap Trick, and along with Ace Frehley. And it says, I got to ask what the inaudible lead guitar track is. Explain that to me.
Of course I will. First of all, I go back with Ace Frehley back in the old days, and in the 80s when he was hired and fuck, and we were traveling around the country, And, Ace has cleaned himself up. He's 13 years. He's been straight, clean, sober, doing really well. And we were doing a show in December in Detroit, I think it was. And I asked Ace, I said, I'm getting ready to do a new record on Frontiers. I would love you to participate. And basically Ace says, Chip, send me the tracks. I'll play 3 or 4 solos on it and send it back to you. I said, that's great. And so I let everybody know about that Ace is going to be on the record, and he's going to be playing from lead guitar on there. I think I got Nuno Betancourt on the record, and Steve Ramone. I was bragging about because I was excited, like a little kid, that having all these great musicians playing along with me on this album. And then when his management company sent back the tracks, I couldn't hear any guitar. And I had a deadline with Frontiers. I had to put this record out, and Frontiers is a pretty big label. They got they had Sebastian Bach and all that, but they got Journey and Whitesnake and Glorious Sons. And Stryper, and they got their plate full. They don't have any time to wait for records. And I had a deadline, and I couldn't hear his guitar, so I went in the studio and I did my best impersonation of Ace Frehley in about 5 minutes, and that's it. And that's the record. So I talked to Ace since then. He says, I'm sorry that you didn't get the track the right way, and I'll make sure I play in the next record. So that's something to look forward to. As far as Mike Portnoy from Dream Theater Winery Dogs, that's my wife's cousin.
Oh.
So I call him on the phone. I asked him, I said, Mike, I'd love you to play in the new Enuff Z'Nuff album. He says, Chip, I usually cost a lot of money to play on records. He goes, but seeing as we're family, I'll do it for you. Nice. So that was kind of him. And then my last call basically was to Dax Nielsen from Cheap Trick. In the past, Enuff Z'Nuff and Cheap Trick have coordinated on different projects. Rick Nielsen, most notably playing on a bunch of songs on our Paraphernalia record. And with Billy Corrigan, we did a Cheap Trick song. Billy Corrigan played guitar for the Pumpkins, and then working our way down for these other projects I've done, I did my solo record on Cleopatra Records, which is called